Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Coffee and Contemplation brought to you by Spotlight Recovery. It's April 25th. We've got a reflection on being slow and still, aka something I need to work on a bunch. So I liked it. It stood out for me. I like the language in it. And it's got some good, important messaging in it. So, especially the opening quote, which is really cool. So let's get into it. Slow and still. Why are you rushing so much? Asked the rabbi. I'm rushing after my livelihood, the man answered. And how do you know, said the rabbi, that your livelihood is running on before you so that you have to rush after it? Perhaps it's behind you, and all you need to do is stand still. Tale about Rabbi Ben Meir of Berdichev. Most of us accept the standard ideas we were taught. Men should be good providers. We will get self-esteem from hard work. It's a virtue to be productive. It's better not to have too much time to think. A major crisis can quickly change our perspective. Perhaps someone close to us dies, and we are faced with how temporary life is. Or we have a health crisis, or a relationship crisis, or an addiction crisis. The standard ideas come crashing down. We look closely at the rush of our lives and ask deeper questions. Are we hurrying to a worthwhile goal? Or are we losing out in our great rush? These doubts can teach us personal things that society can never teach us. Wisdom comes out of pain and the willingness to learn from it. Today, I will allow some time to stand still and reflect. This inspiration is from Touchstones, a book of daily meditations for men. Let me just double check a line here. Yeah, cool. Okay, so there you go. I like this one. I like the language. Obviously, you don't have to be or identify as a man to identify with this reading. I do like some of the points that they do talk about, just like typical social expectations and stigmas and lessons that we are taught as men. So I just like that they cover all of that too. But anyway, just the opening paragraph and like little story, I think it's just great. It really hits home for me. It really stands out. Just because I really think this way. I'm the guy who's rushing after life. And I've been asked the same questions before, and I've been encouraged to slow down and pause and things. And it's true. I love that. Brett, maybe life has to catch up with you and the other way around. Maybe just being present and standing still and slowing down will allow then for things to fall into place or go the way you want or just come through the way that you want them to. I really like that a lot. And it's a good reminder for me too. Also just for recovery language, story talking about a rabbi. It's not everything's just like old Christian language. So, hey, let's attempt to mix it up here a little bit, which is neat. But anyway, yeah. And so what I had the line here. So that second line in that little story, I'm rushing after my livelihood. This is a common one that so many addicts I've worked with face when they come into recovery because we feel like we've lost so much time. We have spent so much time in addiction, everything focused on that, losing sight of our goals and dreams and aspirations and things that we want to do, that once we get sober and we start to feel better, the fog lifts, we're seeing more clearly. Very quickly, we're like, oh my God, I gotta catch up. I gotta make up for lost time. I gotta apologize to everybody and I gotta fix all this shit. Like it just comes flying out of us. It's a very natural thing for a lot of people. And so I've seen it a ton. I absolutely was that guy / am always working at being less of that guy. So I just really relate with that a lot. And I think it's a really good perspective and a mention too, because it's just so common. So just having this thought of the opposite of that, why not slow down? Why not be still? Why not be present? Not focus on or worry and think so much of that life is something you need to catch up with or make happen. Like life has been happening with or without your input, and it's going to continue to do so. So just be a little more present. experience it, just be here. That's another big piece too. When we're in our addiction for so long, we just miss out on so much life. We miss out on so much. And so I think that's another part of it too, is thinking I'm going to live, Eagles, I'm going to do a life in the fast lane right now. And so now I'm going to cram more life into here so I don't miss out. And so I've caught up. So when I look back, I'm like, there, I got to live enough life. Life also does not work like that. Time does not work like that. Time is not linear. Like, it just all will have these more like practical or like more binary logical approaches to these things. And they're just not how they work. That's just not been my life experience at all. And especially if you are rushing after life, rushing through life, then you're not experiencing the things that are happening daily. You're missing out on those experiences right then and there. You want some or more experiences? Well, they could be happening right now, but you're in too much of a rush to see it, or too much of a rush to feel it, to experience, and then to say, wow, this is good, and it's not going to be here very long. I'm actually going to slow down so I can get more of this. I can soak more of this up while it's still here. Just that reframe, that ability to look at this in a different way and apply this thinking and behavior is such a gift. It's such a gift, and it's so important. And I think for a lot of us in recovery, it's something, I don't know, we just don't think of, or wouldn't think of too naturally, or we're in too much of a rush to realize it or to think. Like it says that last line in the first, like the unitalicized paragraph here, it's better not to have too much time to think, which is fucking garbage. But whoa, man, I don't all those like triggering like toxic masculine lessons in language, I'm keeping an eye on me not going on a tear on those, so bear with me, because oh man, I could do that very much. But so that it's better not to have too much time to think. Well, if you are then thinking and acting that way, you're going to be missing out on the potential to realize life happening and these experiences and soaking them up. So all of these are just really great perspectives that I really like. I'm glad they talk about them, and this cute little story and the beginning of this reflection for me stands out the most and covers all the bases and everything else that they talk about in the rest of this reflection. So, step into dangerous waters here. Accepting the standard ideas we were taught. Men should be good providers. We will get self-esteem from hard work. It is a virtue to be productive. It is better not to have too much time to think. So, I mean, ultimately, this is all just forcing and directing your life in a certain way based on the way that other people are telling you to live or think that you should, especially applying or connecting with your gender, which is also a whole other bunch of lunacy, I really think. But again, maybe we'll podcast that. This is a recovery channel, so that's what I'm trying to focus on there. So anybody, however you identify, whatever lessons you were taught, being pigeonholed into the certain structure of life based on how we identify, especially from then those who came before us. Yeah, I don't think just pigeonhole is that best word. And then it's just we miss out on so much of other things that could be happening or could be suiting us better. We would enjoy more. We may be better at if we're so focused on these things instead. And then as addicts, when we use, that pigeonhole then gets even tighter in that vision of life, and what's available to us and what life could look like keeps getting smaller and smaller until eventually everything in life, the sole focus of it is supporting use. So that's another part of why this lesson and what they're talking about is so important for us, because we have so much potential to take off these horse blinders and see how much life can offer us, right? Like, it just, how free can we be? What life experiences are there waiting for us or are going to catch up to us? So it's originally, okay, my life is solely addiction. How can I make my life, what's that going to look like now outside of addiction, outside of use? What's that going to look like outside of preconceived notions that I have about myself? What's that going to look like outside of these old school lessons that I was taught of who I should be and how I'm supposed to be and what my life is supposed to look like and all of this crap? You see how the vision just keeps getting wider and wider. And I think the only caps on that really are our courage and our willingness. Really, the willingness to ask these questions and to look at these things. And then if they're scary, do we have the courage to do it, right? Acting in the presence of fear, because they're very scary. And a lot of people have struggled with that. So that's normal. That's okay. You're not alone. It's nothing to be ashamed of. We all go through it. But in recovery, we get so much more than just learning how to live a life without drugs and what's that going to look like. It's, let's see how wide can we get this lens? How wide frame can this sucker go? Let's see what's there waiting for us, and then being able to take in all this information and look at it all is when we're able to be answering these questions that came from the story. Do you need to be rushing after experiences? Do experiences need to catch up to you? Do you simply just need to create a space to invite them in? Right? Awesome stuff. This is the stuff in recovery that fires me up, just because it just shows us how recovery is so much more than just abstinence. And that's the difference between like sobriety and recovery, abstinence and recovery. It's like, this is just what gives us this is the potential we can unlock when we free ourselves from addiction. It is just fucking awesome. And it is so fun and exciting. I really hope that fires you up the way it does for me, because that's why I work my ass off to build this life that I want. It's so cool. I'm getting all tingly in the back on that one. So then this last paragraph, just cover this. I think we may have talked a bunch out of these things already. A major crisis can quickly change our perspective. And I think a lot of us can identify with or realize this, that how temporary and short life is, how important our health is and taking care of ourselves, how important it is that we deal with our addiction and no longer keep living this way. Something has to change. And these are great ones too. Are we hurrying? These questions to ask yourself. Are we hurrying to a worthwhile goal? Or are we losing out in our great rush? These doubts can teach us personal things that society never can. Wisdom comes out of pain and the willingness to learn from it. Couldn't say that better myself. And they're such good, important lines. They're so good. An old friend of mine, I went to college with, I think she was in my social work program, social or community, I can't remember, one of the two. It was great. I think social work. And this line she told me was, people waste years by not wasting days. And I just, I'm going to say it again because it blew my mind. Like, it was like a whole new language when I heard her say it. People waste years by not wasting days. And I gravitated to her because we went through life a lot differently. She was a lot more chill, a lot slower moving, a lot more laid back, calm, peaceful. And I was then like more higher energy, anxious. I got to go here. I got to go do this. I want to achieve that. I want to build that. And so I really gravitated to that energy because I was like, I want that in my life. And so we hung out and grabbed a coffee. And I remember her just saying that, and that perspective is just what helps her find guidance. So it says, are we hurrying to a worthwhile goal? Spending that time helps her know that she's on the right path and she's doing the right things. So it is around this concept of slow and still. And just looking at all of this was just really cool. And so that's what popped out for me. And I remember that conversation because it was like, 8 or 10 years ago now. And it still like hits me hard to this day, which was so cool. So I love just this messaging in this reflection, because for a lot of us addicts, it's just an important mentality to have. And it's a great question to ask yourself. and look at these things. We were talking about our behavior yesterday. So then in this sense, the connection on our behavior, is our behavior contributing to the life we want to live? Or is that getting us these aspects or relationships in our life that we want? Because it's so important. There's such a direct conditional piece to that. So I really like this perspective and just that they talk about it. And then, of course, just that quote to wrap it up. Today, I will allow some time to stand still and reflect. So there we go. So I hope you all, myself included, take some time to stand still and reflect on our recovery today and on these things that the reflection talks about. That's very cool. I really like that. I really hope you did too. Please throw down in the comments what stands out for you and what you enjoyed out of that reflection. Would love to hear them, read those shares. I do private recovery coaching with people. So if you're resonating with some of the things I'm talking about, but feel like you don't know where to start on how to incorporate these things in your recovery, reach out to me. My contact info is in the description. I'd be happy to chat with you and see if there's a way that I can help you do this work, because it really has made such a difference in my life. And I would love that same freedom for you. In the description also are all the other ways that Spotlight Recovery can support you. We've got a ton of resources down in there. And then ways you can support us too through donating, getting some merch, or becoming a member. All these things really help us out a lot. You get more involved in our community. So if you're enjoying the videos, why would you not? Okay, so check all that out. And thank you for checking out this video today. Hope you enjoyed it. Wishing you a blessed 24 today. Hope you're able to make some time to slow down and be still and just soak up what this day has to offer for you. And we'll see you again tomorrow.